These girls are laying our eggs, our magic eggs, right, girls?
Spend a little time on Craig Hickman's farm, and it is clear.
What are y'all doing? I love the sound they make. See, they're like, you're not giving us anything? No, it's not time for your snack yet.
He has a passion for growing his own food. Something that for him started early.
My dad, who was a Tuskegee Airman on the ground, who probably would have been a farmer in another life, decided to turn our backyard in the inner city, the segregated inner city of Milwaukee, into food. If you were dirt poor, but you could grow your food for yourself, then nobody could push you around and tell you what to do.
Growing up how he did, his farm here in central Maine is not just means for food, it is equal parts his church and political ideology.
I feel like food is a ministry. Feeding oneself is a spiritual activity. It's a political activity. It's resistance. It's power.
It is his strong, almost poetic idea of food that is the fuel behind his state's newest addition to its constitution, the right to food.
If you have a right to life and liberty, if you have a right to obtain safety and happiness, which our Constitution says, then how can you not have a right to food?
With 61% of the vote, Mainers passed the first in the nation right to food, which states that the people have the right to save and exchange seeds and the right to grow, raise, harvest, produce, and consume the food of their own choosing for their own nourishment. Essentially, Mainers now have the written right to grow and raise whatever food they like, as long as local and federal laws are followed.
More and more, we see if we don't write our rights down and explicitly protect them in constitutions, they can be infringed upon at any time.
When you first hear of the concept, it may sound like a no-brainer. However, according to research done by the University of Southern Maine, the state imports about 90% of the food that Mainers consume, making it the state most dependent on outside sourcing of food. With the pandemic tying up supply chains and stores bearing empty shelves when demand shifted, Hickman sees the new amendment as giving people the power to opt out of the commercial food chain.
We take our food system for granted. We take our food supply for granted. But the pandemic proved to us we can't do that anymore.
There is some opposition to the idea, including the Humane Society, which has expressed concerns about the legislation opening the door to animal welfare abuses. Hickman believes the existing language prevents that.
We regulate how you treat your cats and dogs, where we regulate humane and inhumane slaughter. Those things will not go away because of right to food. There's language in the amendment that explicitly doesn't allow for the abuse of anything in the production of food, which would include animals.
The idea is picking up in other states. Since it passed, Hickman says he's seen op-eds about the idea in Indiana and Montana newspapers. And Washington and West Virginia are actively working on right-to-food amendments of their own. While the idea may catch on in other parts of the country, Hickman hopes that more of his neighbors take steps to reclaim their power through food.
Structures change. They don't change overnight. We have definitely, though, put a different foundation under our food system. So now we'll see what we can build from it.
I'm Vanessa Mishanya reporting.